I'm going to tell you a story about Darwin again. It's called Prank on Teacher Goes Too Far. One day, there's a new substitute teacher named Miss J. The principal said that she is the third substitute to go in this class in this week because all the substitute teachers gave up on their students and quit. Later, Miss J took a first glance on the class and she knew that the class was very bad. She said, "Hello, class." The class didn't listen. And "Hello, class" again. She said, "Hello, class" again. And now they listened. There was this kid named Jake. He was the prankster of the class. And he was never good at maths, neither on fluent English. He can do good things. He only can do bad things like pranking someone and making fun of someone. And then Miss J tries to introduce herself. Everybody heard her, not for Jake, who is laughing for his next prank. When Mrs. J opens the book and sat down, there was a prank. The prank was there was a fart sound on her chair. Everybody laughed, and Jake's friend said that he took it too far, but just kidding. He got him good. He got her good. But Mrs. J thought that it wasn't very funny. And she quickly goes on her lesson. But when she is writing on the whiteboard, there is someone who threw a ball at her. While someone is throwing a ball at her, she was writing, and her writing got messed up. Mrs. J asked who threw the ball at her, but nobody admits themselves. She said that anyone who did it is afraid because he or she is afraid to get in trouble. But it turns out it was Jake. And Mrs. J forgave him. And the bell rang. And the bell rang, and they go to lunch. Remember when in the beginning of class, Jake said that he won't ever get past lunch. But it turns out that Mrs. J survived until lunch. But Jake has a secret weapon again. It's a toy mouse. And Jake put the mouse in Mrs. J's lunch. While Mrs. J is pulling out his lunch, the toy rat, Mrs. J pulls the toy rat out and got surprised. Even the principal got mad at someone who did it. But who did it was Jake. But Jake didn't admit it. He said that he would never do something mean to people like that. And the principal believed him. The principal made a big mistake. But Jake and his friends are busy laughing at the prank successfully had the prank is that the prank succeed, and they would go home and wait for the next substitute teacher to be their prey. But it turns out at the next day, Mrs. J comes in with a master plan. She brainstormed this all night and had the idea to prank Jake. Imagine the prankster gets pranked. At the beginning of class, Mrs. J put something very special on Jake's seat and prepare a fake box of tissue with a surprise in it. She didn't also forget the teacher's iconic apple, which she gave fake blood. And she will blame Jake for putting a needle inside her apple. And the next day, Jake didn't look at his seat before he sat down. So his pants were unbelievably brown. But nobody realized that until Mrs. J came in. Mrs. J said that it's good to see everyone again. So you see, while she is speaking, her mouth is full of blood, and her chin has really bright red blood. But Jake still believes it. And then Mrs. J blacks out, and Jake is worried about Miss J because he was accused and assumed to put a needle in Miss J's apple, which make her blacks out. One girl said that he took it too far and quickly ran to the principal's office. But it turns out it was the fake blood prank. And then the teacher or Miss J gives Jake tells Jake that his pants were a bit brown. It turns out that Jake had pooped himself, but just kidding. It is just chocolate frosting. No wonder. Why does it feel and smells like chocolate? Jake gets very embarrassed, and his friends said that, "Calm down, Jake. Don't crap yourself for real." Everyone laughed, but Mrs. J gave him a tissue. Remember when on the middle of the night, Miss J had crafted a contraption that when someone pulls the tissue, a snake jumps out. Don't worry, it's not a real snake, it's just a toy snake. But Mrs. J makes it very cute. And when Jake wants to wipe off the chocolate frosting or poop on his pants, he pulled and got a big mistake. He pulled the tissue and there was the cute snake that jumped out. He was terrified of snakes because his mom told her that Jake really got terrified when he was a Boy Scout. Because when he was a Boy Scout, he found a snake and quickly ran away. And that's how Jake is really terrified about snakes. But it's all a prank, and everyone laughed again. But it was it was unfortunate for Jake because he still got that chocolate on his pants that made him very embarrassed. His mom gave Mrs. J a pair of pants and to give Jake, and Jake will change with that, and Jake will change that will change that with 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 the pants that his mom gave to Mrs. J. But everyone is sad. Everyone is sad because it is the last day that Mrs. J became a substitute teacher. But just kidding. It's her last day of becoming a substitute because she will become their permanent teacher. They are all happy, and the girl and the principal who looks in front of the door seems happy to hire Miss J as a teacher. I think that's all, Miss. Goodbye. Is that goodbye? Thank you.